Hello kids, how are you? Hope you are all feeling fine. Today I am going to tell you the story of Little Red Riding Hood. So, are you guys ready? Let's get started. Little Red Riding Hood. There was once a little girl who lived in the middle of a deep dark forest with her mother and father, who was a woodcutter. The little girl always wore a red cloak with a hood, and she was called Little Red Riding Hood. One day she decided to visit her granny, who had lived some way from the woodcutter's cottage. She took a basket with a cake her mother had baked and set off. Now, the last thing her mother had said to Little Red Riding Hood was, "Don't leave the path and don't talk to any strangers." But Little Red Riding Hood was not really listening. So when she saw some bluebells growing under a tree, she left the path and began to pick a bunch for her granny. Slowly, she wandered further away from the path, deeper into the trees. Suddenly, she was not alone. There in front of her stood a great big wolf. Now, Little Red Riding Hood had not met a wolf before, so she did not realize that wolves are not the kind of animals to be too friendly with. "Good day, little girl," said the wolf with a snarly sort of a smile. "What is your name and where are you going?" "My name is Little Red Riding Hood. I am going to visit my granny and I am taking her a cake to eat," replied Little Red Riding Hood. The wolf was delighted. Not only a little girl to eat, but a granny and a cake as well. "And where does your granny live, little girl?" asked the wolf, trying hard to smile nicely despite his fierce teeth. Little Red Riding Hood told the wolf where her granny lived and went on picking bluebells. The wolf slipped away through the trees and soon found the granny's cottage. He tapped on the door and said in a disgusted voice, "Hello, Granny. It is Little Red Riding Hood. I have bought you a cake. Will you let me in?" As soon as the door was open, the wolf bounded in and gobbled the granny all up. He put on her nightcap and shawl and climbed into her bed. Soon he heard Little Red Riding Hood coming, and he tried his snarly smile again. "Hello, Granny," said Little Red Riding Hood. "I have bought you a cake and these bluebells." And she came up to the bedside. "Goodness, Granny, what great big eyes you have," she said. "All the better to see you with," growled the wolf. Little Red Riding Hood could not help noticing the wolf's teeth. "Goodness, Granny, what great big teeth you have." "All the better to eat you with," snapped the wolf and gobbled Little Red Riding Hood up. He gobbled up the cake in the basket as well, and then, very full indeed, he fell fast asleep, snoring loudly. Now, by great good luck, Little Red Riding Hood's father was passing by the cottage, and when he heard the terrible snores, he put his head round the door to see who was making such a noise. He was horrified to see the wolf, so he took his axe and made a great slit down the wolf's tummy. Out jumped Little Red Riding Hood. Out staggered Granny. She stitched up the wolf's tummy and told him to mind his manners in future. Then, as there was no cake left for tea, they all went back home, and Little Red Riding Hood's mother made pancakes. I am pleased to say that Little Red Riding Hood had learned her lesson, and she never spoke to wolves again. So this is the end of this story. So good night, bye bye, have a nice dream.